Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. Join us as we talk about all things radio control. And now, your host,
folks, this man, he is the king.
Mr. CCxRC himself, Tony CC.
Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another podcast. It feels good to be back. Back up in the studio for this one. Got the air conditioner installed again. It's just a window AC unit. It doesn't get hot in Michigan for that many days. And for being a garage studio, it does an okay job. I'll just say okay. It doesn't do a great job. And I have to turn it off for these. So when I start going long, it starts getting toasty in here. Let's just say that. I will be sweating by the end of this, and you won't know it, except that I just told you. But today we are going to be talking about the Axialfest Badlands and Horizon RC Fest 124 scale crawler competitions that are going to be going on. I'm calling them 124 Carnival Comps, 124 scale Carnival Comps, because I kind of feel like it's a carnival type of a game as far as how we set the rules up. And that's to make it fun and very inclusive for anybody that's at these. 124 scale competition is not what those events are about. And so we're just kind of like a sideshow in a way, as well as many other things that happen at the events. And so everybody's coming and has a whole bunch of different RCs. They don't necessarily comp with them or do all that. And so we're just trying to kind of get people to have some fun. That's all they are. They're not like, hey, big major comp people, come to this event. We don't mind if you're there, and we've got it very easy for you to fall into a place. So we'll talk about those rules because they are posted on CCxRC.com in the menus. Right at the top menu I have right now. For now, it's temporary. 124 Carnival Comp rules listed as a menu button. So you can go there, you can click on them and see what those rules are. There's a couple things that dictated this, so why, and it's listed as well on the page, why 124 Carnival Comp rules. Like I said earlier in this, it's because this is not the main attraction of the event. There's people with many different abilities and different types of rigs, non-comp oriented rigs, different types of small upgrades, massive upgrades, performance ones versus just fixing it ones. And so we'll talk about that as we get into it. There's potential for large crowds, so we need a way to speed it up to get as many people to be able to participate. So yeah, that's why we have the goal to have fastest time, to get everybody to be pushing it a little bit. You're not wanting to go slow. Because otherwise, if we're doing points, I can be the slowest among us. I love a good slow comp crawl, watching that suspension move, even between gates. I don't care. I'll go slow, like from gate to gate. I don't need to speed up in the easy parts. I like to watch it crawl slow. Anyway, so that's the main kind of topics we'll be talking about at the end. I'll probably talk about other things. We've had the whole backyard fiasco here that I had to deal with. It's been keeping me very busy. Some new rigs coming out, some new videos, and lots of things just in the pipeline, getting ready to go. It's going to be a very busy summer. We just had our first Talk Your Face Off freestyle comp, LMT style, Pablo and I on the live stream last night. And I did a video related to that and kind of getting back into it. I'll talk a little bit about that before we wrap. And yeah, so let's just jump into it. The 124 scale Carnival Comp. Yeah, so here's what the rules are, the basics. The way to win is to have the fastest time. Now, it isn't to just have the fastest time. There are gates that you have to go through that will set the course. There will be judges that will have a stopwatch, and they'll be recording your time, but they'll also be recording when you hit a gate. Because when you hit a gate, you get a 10-second penalty. So it adds 10 seconds to your time. So if you have a really fast time, but you hit 5 gates randomly throughout it, that would be, 60 seconds. If that was the fast time, it would be 1 minute and 50 seconds. You'd almost have doubled your time because of gates hit. So we have that going on. We're going to set the course up in a way and the gates up in a way that hopefully somebody that just slams every single gate and gets to the end fast will not win just by doing that. That is not the purpose of this. We do want it to be somewhat of a comp, and you're still wanting to get through clean. And so we want to penalize hitting, but we also want to make it a driver's course. So we want people to drive it good, and we don't want to have to deal with winches or that kind of stuff. And so that's part of why we did the choice that we made to do time, and we're going to base our gates based on that in order to make it something that's doable. There'll be some technical ones or trickier ones than others that will, maybe require some reverses and different things to get around, but we're not penalizing you for reverses because you're slowing down to go in reverse. You're going the wrong way. And so you're penalizing yourself, but there will be spots you have to reverse and things like that. So, it's just who's thinking about it and getting at it the fastest, and that'll be kind of the fun of it. So, continuing on. So fastest time, 10 seconds for hitting gates. 5 gate hits in a row is grounds for disqualification. Now, if you're not just racing through, we're not going to pull that card on you. This is really to stop somebody that's trying to win by just smashing every gate and getting through it. So we wrote in this little caveat so that we can call DQ on that. Now, if it's your first comp and you're just, accidentally, we're not going to stop you because you just hit 5 gates in a row. Like, we'll know. We'll be able to tell, and we'll use that as a, if needed, disqualification. It's in the rules that way, right? So 15-second penalty for Hand of God. So if you have to pick your car up if it rolls over or you need to reposition, but using your hand in any way or push it up something that you can't climb up, it is a 15-second penalty for Hand of God. 4-minute maximum run. Because we're trying to get a bunch of people, and that's high, I think. I mean, in my hopes, people will be able to finish this course, not counting gate penalties or whatever, in about 2 minutes or maybe just a bit less. I mean, you have 50 people there. That's an hour of run time, and because it's timed, it's hard to have too many people on the course at the same time because of the whole, like, if somebody's slowing you down in front of you, we don't want to have that. So it limits how many people can be on the course at one time, but we're hoping it moves everything along faster and we don't get the really long runs because you're trying to get through it fast. That's the goal. So anyway, at 4 minutes, we will say thank you. Any gates left will just count as penalty points, and we'll give you a score, whatever your time was, plus gates, which will mean that a lot of people will have similar scores if that happens, because however many gates left plus the 4 minute max, so it puts you down at the bottom, but I like to score people out. I think it's fun to finish and have a score and see where you stack up. Maybe you run more than one truck. You can see where they stack up. Sometimes you go to an event like this and they do a timed one. And if they realize, well, our low score so far is 50 seconds and you, sir, are over 50 seconds, pack it up. So that's one way to do it. And if time's really, really getting crazy on us, we might have to do that. But I do like to try to give people, if it's just a fun day and we're able to, we'll give people the chance to score out. If not, we may have to get to the point and be like, you know what, we've got faster times. If you have another car, you can try again, which we'll talk about that rule here. So you can only enter each of your trucks one time. So if you have a couple different SCX24s that are all, brand new out of the box, you got a yellow Jeep, you got this Jeep, you got that Jeep. We will let you run them multiple ones. We don't want people trying to just keep besting the time or going for that first. It's not a paid run. Like maybe if it was paid or $1 per entry, we might do that and you could just keep paying in, but to get a better time. But because it's not, we want to kind of leave it kind of carnival-like. The $1 thing would really make it carnival-like, but we're not doing that. We're just doing for fun. Everybody, no cost to you. Come and run it. But if you have multiple trucks, I know there's a lot of 24 scale guys that buy a lot of them. So one, you could enter a stock truck, you could enter a modified truck, and we'll talk about the classes here. An AX24, which is 4-steer truck, and a modified AX24 or 4-wheel steer truck. You could have multiples, and so that would be 4 classes of the 5 you can run. If you're 12 and under, boom, you can run the 12 and under class as well. So that's how we have it set up. And those are the 5 classes: is stock SCX24, modified 24th scale, doesn't have to be axial. It's Horizon Fest, so it doesn't have to be. And then it'll be the AX24 stock class, and then the modified 4-wheel steer class, 24 scale. I will talk about those and what we're being a little lenient for it, again, because of the intent is what we're going for. This is a Carnival fun game thing, and we don't want... Yeah, we'll get to it. So, the minimum gate width, finishing up the rules, is 6.5 inches. Most will be wider than that. We're just setting that as a minimum, so think about that when you think about your truck. And that's just going forward. It's basing it off of stock axle width. You can still get through it with wideners. It's just a little harder, but it gives you benefits in other areas. So you got to weigh the pros and cons. And, we're keeping it simple, and we're basing things off of stock and allowing a lot more. So that's kind of where we're going with it. Pretty much anybody can run in a class without it, really trying hard. You fall into one of them. Let's just say that. All right, so about the course at Horizon RC Fest, we are super, super lucky and awesome to have my buddy Rick bringing his mobile off-road park down. He calls it 124 MOP, which is 124 mobile off-road park. So it's, if you wanted to see it online, you could go to one24mop.com. Check it out there. I have a link to his Facebook as well. But yeah, he spells out the word 1, and then he uses the numbers for 24 and then MOP. She's got this portable course. It's super cool. It's a trailer that's been converted to a clay and rock awesome course. And so we're going to have that available at Axialfest Badlands. We are going to use their awesome grounds that they have there. They're super good. Right where they do the 24 scale gates, in there somewhere we'll find a spot to put down some gates and do the comp. We don't want to run the gates they have there because then people could practice. So whenever they give us the time slot for the Badlands, we will set up gates for that and not let people run them ahead of time. And one way to think of this is, if you've been to Badlands, it's very Carnival-like in the comps, at least that I've done. I know there's some that are a little bit more, but like the Rift one, that is just like super fun, crazy, anybody could win, really. It just comes down to the craziest stuff that happens, and it's laughing and whatever. It's a good time, and that's what we want this to be, really. So here's what we got. Classes, let's start from the beginning. 24th scale, 2-steer, stock-ish SCX24. So the intent is to keep it so stock trucks can compete, but not force people who have some really minimal changes to be in the modified class. So the judges are going to have the final say. We're running this thing onto whether or not it's stock or modified based on what we think the intent is with the upgrades. Because some may have just been repairs. Let's be honest. We've all had one. I have a bunch of these. I probably have, I don't want to say how many I have. It's more than 10. And I've had somewhere the servo will go or something will go. And we're, so you upgrade it, because most of the shops don't even carry the stock one, and you're just getting some quick. So here's what we're saying for this. Basically, you can upgrade your wheels and tires and your servo within reason. So it's all detailed in the rules. What that means is you can change the wheels and tires, because so many people have done that right when they get them. It's not the biggest upgrade ever. all we're going to say is that the tires that you get must be smaller than the tallest. Say like the Jeep ones are pretty tall. They've got to be around that or smaller. We're not going to do the big pin tires from Endura or whatever, the 57s or 60 millimeter, the big ones. You know what I'm talking about. So we're going to have a limit, but the goal is, because somebody just changed out a stock-ish tire to something that maybe even looked more realistic to the truck and is smaller, because what they were trying to build with it. So it wasn't built for comping. It was just a stylistic choice when they got it. And that's what they showed up with. And so, yeah, if it's not like weighted, all kinds of stuff here. So you can do that. They can be aluminum wheels. That's not a huge upgrade. You have to do something. There's not a lot of plastic ones available for your new tires. So the rims and wheels can be aluminum. No brass allowed. No added weights. No stick-on weights. None of that, because those are performance upgrades. And while the tires are one of the biggest performance upgrades you can do, it's also just a visual thing you would do. But once you start going into brass and all that stuff, you're going for performance upgrades, and there's none of that. So has to be stock links. It needs to have the shocks in the stock positions. You're not trying to upgrade the performance by moving those. So that's what we're saying. Servo, ideally you'd have the stock servo, but if it burned up, you replaced it with the moderate upgrade, like, I don't know, something under $30 in Emax, maybe a Honey Badger, maybe one of the Endura ones. None of the like super fast aluminum cased, nutso servos. That's definitely done for performance, huge upgrades, because you're not going to spend $60 on those because you just needed to replace your burn up servo. So yeah, stock motors, we are requiring that. That's an easy, just keep it stock. But you can remove your accessories like on the Bronco, and you can remove, the Gladiator roof rack and tent and all that make them super heavy. So you can take that kind of stuff off. But we're saying no added weights, stock axles, no overdrive, no CVDs in your axles, that kind of stuff. No, yeah. Keep it stock. I would even say aftermarket bodies if it's not one of the stock bodies, which I had that as a rule and it's not on here, but that will be added. It has to be one of the stock bodies. Modified, must have 1.0 wheels. No four-wheel steer, because there's a class for that. It can be brushless or brushed. No weight restrictions. You can have brass. No body or bumper restrictions. Can be cage or bodiless style chassis. So if you have a chassis that's meant to look like a cage, it doesn't have to have a body. You can have wheel wideners, whatever. 1/18 scale vehicles. So if you had, like, I know it's the SCX24. It's really kind of 18 scale. It's wider, whatever. Bodies are bigger. We will allow that to run in the classes at Horizon RC Fest. So if you have that, the FMS, or even if you show up with the TRX4M, we'll put that into the modified class, because the stock is really to be based on this SCX24 platform. So the things that aren't technically a stock SCX24, we're going to kind of lump in with people that may have done wideners and stuff on a 24 scale. And so they'd kind of fit into that. It cannot be a UTB 18. They won't fit through the gates. So it doesn't even matter. And if you widened out your TRX4M, it probably won't fit either. So, yeah, that'll be one thing to look at. So we're just going with it as far as that goes. The 1.0 wheels was just, there's a lot of real comp ones coming out, and, yeah, I don't know why we had that. that was one of them. But I actually think that class is meant to be the tricked out whatever. So see what people can do. But yeah, for this one, we're doing must have 1.0 wheels, and for the Badlands as well. I think also to help limit the height of the wheels or the tires. 12 and under stock SCX24, same rules as the stockish SCX24. But you have to be 12 or younger. And if you don't have a rig, we have one that people can use. That'll be provided if you want to run in that class, the 12 and under class. We're only doing it as stock. We're not doing it for modified as well. So the AX24, we have a stockish class. Again, intent is to be close to stock with few changes that many make right out of the box, whatever. So it's kind of the same idea as the stockish SCX24. If you have a servo, again, we're trying to avoid craziness. So, but I've already burned up 2 of those on 2 different trucks. So I have one with a stock front and one with a Honey Badger rear, whatever. It's because it burned up. It's obvious that that's the case. And so that's what we're going for. You can change your wheels and tires to like the Pro lines, whatever. We're allowing it for this one. Because the stock tires actually are pretty awesome on their own, so it's not necessary. No stock. You must have stock chassis, electronics, and shocks. We want them to be all stock. No brass wheels, no brass at all, right? So that's the stockish AX24. The modified 1/24th four-wheel steer would be like the AX24 on steroids. Go crazy, but it has to have four-wheel steer, so you can't just run your modified two-wheel steer in it. Must have 1.0 wheels, no tires taller than 3 inches, just because we have to put an end to it somewhere. But other than that, it's kind of a free reign 24 scale four-wheel steer class. So could be pretty crazy. So that's it. Badlands, it's they have to be axial based. So the AX24 or the 24th modified actually have to be AX24 based or SCX24 based for steer. So, but you have to get into even be able to get into it, you have to have it be an axial to start with. So I don't feel like I need to necessarily say that in the rules, but that's it. Yeah, no brass or weights allowed, and I need to add that to the stockish class because it's basically the same as the stock SCX24 stuff, what we're looking for or overlooking in some ways. Okay, wheels, tires, whatever. People have changed those, but it's still pretty stock. But no motor changes. That's electronics have to be stock. Shocks have to be the stock ones, all that. And then, yeah. No weights, no aftermarket bunches of stuff. So that is it in a nutshell. Let's talk LMT. Face off freestyle on Talk Your Face Off between Pablo and I. That was a ton of fun. We're going to be doing it monthly. Pablo won. It was rigged. I know it was. He had all of his friends watching, and they voted for him. And I think there was a glitch in the system. When you clicked my name, it actually gave him a vote. So we have to look into that for next month. No, I'm kidding. But so it was fun. We had a 60-second limit, and we were allowed 2 slow motion inserts. We could slow-mo stuff to kind of make it obvious what was happening and make it cooler. People were voting on how cool the runs were, flow, that kind of stuff, difficulty, technical abilities, whatnot, and he won. And he actually, in my opinion, I would have voted for him as well. So he had a great run. He had really cool camera angle for his backflip ramp, super cool, and yeah, and some cool saves. I'll give him it. So we're going to be doing that, and we are allowing editing because it's just the two of us, and we're playing on our system. We don't have to. We know each other, and we're not going to try and do that to each other, cheat on it to win. So there's no real anything to win anyway. So we're keeping the rules pretty lax. 60 seconds of time from the first hit to the last trick. You can roll out, roll in, but that's the basic. And yeah, it's really fun. It's making me get my stuff back out. It's really frustrating the day of shooting it. You take the time to set up, get everything ready, and then your truck breaks. The wheel falls off. You fix it, and then the actual axle breaks, not the stub axle, not the case. And then I go to get a repair truck or a different truck, and it I pull it out and it was put away broken. So one of the shocks had pulled out and it broke off at the rod end, and then the servo horn was bent and broken on it. So it was from the last time I ran in the really thick grass in the front yard when Travis was here. If you kind of catch that front end doing flips or whatever, it really torques it because it grips so much in the grass and was just tearing stuff up. So I actually ripped the servo. What did I do? Oh, the rod end came off of the pillow ball on the servo horn this time. I thought I broke it again, but we moved to an area. Now I'm going to have to build up a monster truck area again in my yard. I miss it, and that's why I haven't been doing as much this yard here. Really, currently it sucks for driving them, and so I need to make an area. And once I do that, it's going to be game on. I'm excited about it. It was so much fun doing them again. It's really one of my favorite RCs to run is the LMT. Now also the SCX24. Like those two are like the things that I work on that I enjoy running. So for just fun, I've got my race trucks. That's a whole different ball game. Those will be getting ready for racing here. Got a couple races coming up. There's going to be one at Horizon RC Fest. There's monster truck racing. And I'm heading back to Monster Jam World Finals. This one's in Nashville, and I'll be racing there. So excited about that. So I'm only running one truck there, so I don't have to worry about getting that one dialed in, which I don't think it'll take a lot of time because I put it away in pretty good condition. We'll test a few batteries, get a few runs on it, make sure the body's looking good and all that. And yeah, I know it ran good because after that last time I cleaned it up because it was a mess. And we ran it in, where do we run it? Ran it with, the Ohio group. So cleaned it up for that. So it's running good. I don't plan to run. I might take my Rapid X for Horizon RC Fest, but I don't know that I want to run it in the dirt. It's kind of my indoor truck now. I have to decide. I think I'm going to keep that one for carpet, and I'll probably run an LMT and Pro C at the races. So, yeah, I just the cleanup phase. I just wanted to be ready to race for like a lot of the clean and indoor stuff that we do and tend to do a lot of now. So, if I were to go run with the Michigan guys, I'd take that truck because they run indoor, and so I just want to keep it kind of good. So don't want to mix it up and have it be all dusted. Like when you come back from there, the Horizon RC Fest dust is so hard to get out of stuff. So yeah, all that's got to get ready. Mud trucks, I think I want to take down for that. And I've got another build to do. I've got a couple builds that I'm working on currently, and one of them is a complete kit build. So it's going to be, don't know where I'm going to find time for that in the midst of all the other stuff going on. But man, it's cool to be RCing, and you know, it's a fun hobby. It's great people, and I can't wait to hang out with people. That's what I'm really excited about for Horizon RC Fest and Badlands, and even at the Monster Jam World Finals, is hanging out with the RC crew there and having a good time. One thing to note also, the Monster Jam guys, a lot of them that I would hang out with there anyway, are going to be at Horizon RC Fest. So from people running the monster trucks, also to the drivers, Weston Anderson, Ryan Anderson, and Bari Musauer, Daniel Cheech Agosh is coming. So there's tons of people coming to hang out with at all these things. So it's going to be a great time, and super, super excited about it. And we'll be just looking for what is next. It's going to be the gauntlet after that. There's always something keeping us busy that we'll be working toward, because we're going to be doing 24 scale RC comp at the gauntlet again. That one is going to probably be more our traditional rule set, not the carnival rules. I think we'll talk after we see how it goes for these, but I'm pretty sure we're going to keep them like we did last year. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time.